welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing good, and this video is pretty special. Now in this video I'm not going to teach you anything, or it's not any exam pattern, it's not a video of some tips, it's not a video of vocabulary. Okay, this video is all about my experience. Now it's been not so many years that I've completed my A1 level, or I've started learning German. So I often get this question from my students that आपको तो ये आसान ही लगता होगा. Why would you find this difficult? For example, if this is if there's any new topic which we are doing, and my students have that fear. For example, if it's accusative, accusative is the number one complex grammar which you study in A1, or in the starting of your German. Now it's not like that I never felt difficulties. I also have had a lot of things in which I failed, I would say. I was not pretty well, and ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है that I was always perfect. No, I was once at your place. So this video is basically about the things which I felt a little difficult, okay? The things in which I suck when I was in my A1, okay? Now before starting this video, I just want to give you an update. My new batches for A1, A2 and B1 are starting next week. That means after 2 weeks. If you still want to register, okay, you can DM me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is in the description, and the username is isha_couple_German. So if you're interested, you want to register, you can DM me there, and I'll be. Now, the number one thing which didn't make sense to me was to put the verb at the second position. That was the very first rule which we always learn, the golden rule which we say. But I somehow always had this feeling, for example, ich habe ein Auto. Ich habe ein Auto. I have a car. Okay, making sense. Yeah, good to go. For example, now if we have ich habe keine Zeit. Ich habe keine Zeit. I have no time. So in the most of the cases it did make sense, but there were a lot of situations wherein putting the verb at the second position just didn't make sense to me. Also, putting the verb at the second position do not mean that it will be the second word of your sentence. That was too complicated for me. For example, mein Haus ist klein. Mein Haus ist klein. Okay, this is the very basic example I'm giving you. Now, of course, it's very obvious you cannot break my house. But then, as a beginner, when I was literally in my first stage, I always used to think why is at the third place. It should be at the second place. But technically, that the position and the place is a whole lot different concept. I used to struggle a lot in identifying that, but of course, with practice, it went good. So if I give you solution for this problem, do a lot of lesen, okay? Read a lot. If you'll read, you'll actually understand the German sentence structure more. Bitte lesen Sie. Please read. The second problem I had, which is the most common problem, is the articles. I always failed. Why do we have articles? In the initial 1 week, I remember when I was introduced with the articles, I was so much complex. I remember the first week I was introduced with the articles. I felt so confused that what's the need of having an article? Why do you have article for all the non-living things? For example, the laptop, like the shelf, the cupboard, everything around me, everything around us. If it's a noun, it has an article. And somehow it was really frustrating for me that why do I have to remember the articles? But there's again, bin article, there's nothing which can happen. You have to learn the articles. And I made a few tricks out of myself. So what I used to do, I used to make 3 columns for there, the and das, and write all the nouns there. I used to divide them in the column and then used to learn them. It was really, really helpful for me to grasp the nouns, with the articles. Second, I always learn the nouns with the articles. Okay, so that's the secret I'm revealing. I didn't know that article is really important. I've forced a lot my students learn karo. But somehow when I was in my A1, I didn't have the same situation. Okay, so I didn't know that articles are like really important, and I used to skip the article. I used to know the noun, skip the article. Later, when I realized that article ke bina it's going to be very difficult, I went back to chapter 1, started learning articles again, and then I realized the importance of learning articles, which is a big thing. So always learn it, always learn the nouns with the articles, because ultimately आपको vocab तो learn करनी ही है, right? So learn it with the article. So that was the second thing which I found very difficult in German. Third was the pronunciation. Sometimes I used to get confused in EI, in IE. Okay, how do I pronounce EI? How do I pronounce IE? And every time I used to do Lernen initially, I used to, always mix them up. Then again, one day I just sat down, wrote down the words, used some online dictionaries, and sorted out for me. So, again, if you're facing any issues with the pronunciation, okay, if you do not have a teacher available with you, you can use the online dictionaries. It'll be helpful. Do not use Google Translator, please. Don't use it. You can use the online dictionaries. Okay. Now, for example, if it's EI, the sound will be I. Yeah. For example, sight, the sight. And if it's IE, it'll be E. For example, fear. Yeah, fear. So that's the difference, a very small difference, EIE. But that was again a matter of problem for me initially for some time. Okay, then I cannot tell you how much I used to get confused between the personal pronoun and the possessive article. Personal pronoun in nominative, accusative, dative, and the possessive article in nominative, accusative, dative. It was, for once, I remember it was a nightmare for me. I used to get so much confused. I don't know, I still remember it took me 1.5 hours or something. When I actually wrote down everything, I realized that what's the difference it is. And of course, I didn't have a lot of good notes. You all know how my A1 went, so I didn't have very great notes with me, and we didn't have a direct contact with the teacher as well. That's why I say to all my students, you're really lucky that you can actually get your doubts clear whenever you want to, or you can repeat, or you have that connection, that personal connection. You can always reach out to me over WhatsApp or Instagram, and I'm always there to help you and in solving your doubts. I didn't have this opportunity. It was just, we used to have a class alternate days in a week, and that's pretty much it. So possessive article, personal pronouns, very big confusion. But then again, a key solution, which is repeating every time. I sat on myself, brought the doubts, took out the doubts, wrote them down, and then I eventually realized what's the difference between the possessive article and personal pronoun. So these are just few examples which I told you. These are the topics which made me feel that German is a scary language. But trust me, it was only me who sat down and solved those for myself. So if you feel that you're weak in the particular part, okay, please sit down, do self-study. If after that also you're feeling that you're not able to get the things correctly, of course reach out to your trainer if you have one. Okay, but the amount of satisfaction the self-study would give you it cannot be compared to anything else. So this is how I solved most of my problems in the German language. So I was not a perfect person, I was not a perfect kid. Since the starting, it took me a lot of practice as well. So that's it for today. I hope you like this video. In case you do, you can give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Cheers.